She will present the outcomes of the TC 277 LHS specifications for testing and evaluation of lime-based repair materials for historic structures. Thank you, Ioanna.
Thank you, Tim. I would like also to thank you, the organizers, the Rilem head, for the opportunity to present our outcomes. I must also thanks from here all the members participating. It was a particular subject. And also my co-chair, Chairman Jan Valek from Royal Academy of Czechia. So I would like first to say some data about our TC, and as you can see, you can see here the objectives was just to adapting, modifying, proposing test procedures for lime-based mortars and lime-based grouts, and adaptation development also of field tests to assess behavior on site. The duration was from 2017 to 2023, extending for 1 year because we have the adventure with COVID, and then some other data are the membership. We have 45 scientists, experts, and young researchers from all over the world, but mainly from Europe. We have 2 meetings per year, a total of 13 meetings, only 5 meetings in person and 8 meetings online. The participation was quite good, 50 to 70%. And we have industry involvement, maybe Lava, which was from the group of Lafarge. Dalkafukikos in Thessaloniki is a company of processing restoration materials and supplying restoration materials, and another TCAs from Italy. Of course, the progress reports have been annually presented by our schedules for our unfinished web meetings. The discussion was very productive anyway. And here are the participation of laboratories devoted to repair cultural heritage. You can see we have members from Bigiti, we have also from Brazil, and most of laboratories dedicated to cultural heritage are from the area of Europe, from Cyprus up to Norway, but we have laboratories from Africa, not from China, but we have young researchers from India. I say something from history. The last decades of about restoration field, the last decades of 20th century, I can say, the use of compatible materials that we think achieved by using lime-based repair materials was a forefront research topic. And before our committee, there were 3 very successful, chaired by Professor Groot, Kaspar Groot. It was Rilem TC about characterization of old mortars, another about repair mortars for historic masonry, and another one, specifications of non-structural grouting of historic architectural surface. And during this, I was member in all of them, and also a group of core members, scientists, and also laboratories became specialists, more or less, on materials for restorations, and the need for our TC 277 LHS was actually emerged from these committees, and we believe that we managed to offer to this direction to comment, modify existing standards, because Rilem, as you know, on testing methods, focus on testing methods, we make modifications, and also we have proposals for improvement and new test methods. I would like to say something about the principles of cooperation. The first for me was the volunteerism in working, and another was this osmosis, as we say, between among laboratories working on the same field of research, to exchange sound, documented knowledge and practices with mutual respect to different local climate conditions, cultural status of each country was something difficult. It usually takes hours of discussion. And the other precious principle, I think, is the decisions taken by using the principle of consensus. I think it is a value of European community, not only of Rilem, because if you have consensus, then we respect and apply the test methods. Otherwise, it's not possible. It's not effective. It's not realistic. We are always open to new members. Up to the last moment, last year, we have young members, and also new members, and also we are open to companies activated relevant to repair materials topics, because they are beneficiaries actually of this work. About activities during this period, difficult period I can say, we have supported scientifically and also by our participation, our members' participation, the conference devoted to historic masonry, HMC, yes, historic masonry conference, yes, materials actually, because HMC, we organize also in Santorini one, actually is focused on materials. We have organized a workshop, the first workshop of Rilem on lime-based mortars and grouts. We have participated in Rilem Paris Spring Convention with presentation, and also revised some recommended tests by Rilem concerning masonry. We have also made presentations at the conferences, Rilem conference in Robis, in Croatia, and in Pamplona, Spain, where we present the evaluation of results of Robin round test. We have this test started in the previous Rilem committees and continued and evaluated during our committee, because we could proceed. The work at laboratories was difficult during COVID period. We have produced 5 actually reports, collective reports. Each report takes much time to be produced, and we produce also some this continuum of reports, some paper in technical letters, and we have also expect to finish with a topical report about porosity, about the fresh state properties and about the mechanical characteristics of lime-based mortars. I decided to refer to some points to more or less introduce you into our themes. The first paper, it was devoted to review of the mechanism of setting and hardening of lime-based binding system. First, we say what is lime-based, as we call lime-based is generally what do you mean when we say lime-based binding systems, and also by a very comprehensive way. My colleague, Professor Alvarez, presented the mechanism of drying, carbonation, hydration, and pozzolanic reactivity, which occurred during setting and hardening of lime-based binding system, which are layer lime, calcitic and dolomitic, hydraulic lime, lime cement, lime pozzolan, or ternary systems, lime pozzolan cement. In addition, the different mechanisms of setting and hardening of the binding system are of utmost importance to ascertain the most suitable methods for the lime-based binding systems. As mixed type binding systems have particularities. We have hydraulic components, we have air hardening components, and we must find our way in order to be efficient. This is one of the pictures included in this paper of Professor Alvarez, and concern the systematic analysis of factors influencing drying and hardening. Then it was the report of Professor Emeritus Groot, and this refers to theoretical background, not only from research at the laboratories, but from practical experiences, and in positive and negative sense, all of them, over the past decades, so to be reliable. And they conclude, the authors, that points of attention concerning lime-based mortars must be taken into account anyway, is the environmental exposure and application conditions for each case. This report focuses on the durability of repair mortars in the environment where each structure is situated. Is very important also, and was pointed out many times during our works. In the report, there is a very good categorization of lime-based mortars and biters. Categorization because the problem of mixing air hardening constituents components and hydraulic components, such as hydraulic lime, lime metakaolin, lime natural pozzolan, after adequate curing. There are a lot of tables which are very useful, especially for non-researchers but involved in restoration works. And there is also a conclusion, say that the optimal use of lime-based mortars should be based on tested materials and taking measures during execution. Again, it was the motto of Professor Groot and mine, because also believe in this. Here are some pictures taken from the paper concerning renders, damage from frost, damage from salt crystallization, and below is a failure of truss-based mortar from Holland. Another report, very good, is concerned the renders and plasters. It's, I think, like a Vogel, everything is included. Very good, documented with references. And of course, renders and plasters exposed more to environment and water suction from the substrate, the cracking tendency, the water penetration, thermal and hygride variations are of utmost importance for performance and longevity of them. There is an introduction about workability and porosity and other fresh properties and hardening the relations between them. And then one by one commented and from experience, from practice. Furthermore, based on previous interlaboratory research work of TNO, LNEC, and CCY Cyprus, they make a proposal about using another methodology, particular custom to renders and plasters, applying renders and mortars for renders and plasters on porous substrate instead of metallic mold, and modify mixing, curing, and time of setting. They found, the researchers, that it was, and after discussion we decided it was more reliable, the evaluation, the estimation of suitability of mortars on the specific substrate. Also proposed a method for testing cracking tendency. I'll show you. Due to restrained shrinkage, there are test methods, but it's more adapted to this type of line-based, as we say, binding system. And there is also a very concise table 5, which is actually a panel, and for students, for practitioners, we can have this table in front of you in order to decide which are the most important tests, which are the methodologies, and how to comment. These are the methods, new methods for renders and plasters, tested by applying them on suitable porous substrate. And here is the method from evaluating the tendency, cracking tendency of due to restraints in case. And here is the table 5, where you can see which are the most important tests, which are the methodologies, the current methodologies, and how we can comment or add modifications in order to be more reliable. And also where there are some proposals of new methods. There is a continuity. There are 2 pages table, but is concise of all work done. And about additives and admixtures for modern line-based mortars. It is also a very good paper because it's including terminology, current terminology and definitions, clarifications, and their effectiveness on the properties of line-based mortars, not cement, because we are accustomed to the influence of these admixtures, these additives and admixtures to cement-based, but the line-based mortar has have a lot of particularities. 12 tables are included. The most essential publications about them on fresh and hardening of line-based mortars are taken into account. And there is a table 12, which is the most, here is the influence, which are the properties influenced by the additions, by the addition of additives and admixtures. And here is the table, say, have a column with additives and mixtures, have the properties influenced by them, and the test methods we use to test them. And there is another report about the hot lime. Is a traditional method of making mortars. It's a green area, I can say. Some believe, some do not believe in this methodology, but our members make a good report, take into account the references and also practices, because they were experts and have been working on this topic of hot lime performance. They compare with air lime slurries and lime slurries and with hydraulic lime also mortars. And hot lime mortars, they found that hot lime mortars produced by dry slaking, as we say, with wet sand, behave better and are better quality mortars in comparison with the other method referred in papers, in literature, wet or water slaking, where there is excess of water and turns quick lime into bucket. They also showed experimentally that the slaking temperature influences the specific surface of forming portandite crystals, high temperature, high specific surface, which of course affect plasticity and enhance carbonation and strength development, and improve viscosity and workability. We have also remarks about the common, I can say, failures of hot lime mixtures concerning the delayed expansion and also coming from unslaked lime or overbarred or underbarred lime. And the authors conclude to close this tradition methodology, which is very known in China as well. The authors conclude that improvement of the structure and properties of mortars made with hot lime mixing need to be studied. I was to point out this in individual basis, including material and process, because there are so opposite references about this traditional way of lime-based mortars. We have another presentation in technical letters about a review of the research work done in the past decades concerning salt crystallization, frost. There is a volume of research works, but they are not so reliable. So we found we are the key influence parameters and discuss them, and then also introduce new methodologies developed in the frame of research project, European research project, and concerning composite materials, using durability aspects in composite materials. And of course, it is mentioned that apart for test methods, okay, but the quality control and execution practices are also of manual, the lack of manual of practice are of equal importance with test methods, because we don't know what in practice take place. It was perfect to have some feedback of monitoring of repair historic structures is essential. We repeat this necessity, but departments of antiquities, because they need extra technicians, they need money, in other words, no have answer positive about monitoring. We have under publication as topical report 2 papers, 2 final versions of drafts are concerning the fresh state and concerning the porosity. The fresh state maybe focus, as we expected, on workability and the interrelationships of workability with other properties of fresh mortars. In the case of lime-based mortars, all these details are important, are of important meaning. In the interrelation of fresh properties of lime-based mixtures of is key properties, because if you have, for example, a floor and we use a very workable mortar, lime-based mortar, it's nothing. We can produce, we can do the work. So in other case, for example, renders and plasters need more workability than in the case of bending mortars, lime-based mortars, or in the case of repointing mortars. It focuses, because it was one of requirements, it focuses on testing methods, propose also easy on-site methods, such as SLAM test by using modifying cones for measuring workability. And there are also tables in which we mention the properties, the test methods using, and the comments to these methods in improving the reliability of the results of comparisons. And about porosity, I like this paper because it clarifies very well the meaning and significance of porosity and pore site distribution in old mortars and new repair mortars, and also point out the importance of porosity for the compatibility of new and old mortar and durability of repair works, of course. It's a difficult, as you know, property. Porosity is not stable. It's influenced by environment, also by time, and there is rich literature on porosity, on mixtures and pore site distributions, but it's not clear how each pore size influence macroscopic properties. And all clarified in this paper. The methods of assessing porosity also are comparatively referred and commented to understand better the porosity of organ, to pathology and behavior of lime-based mortars. This is a picture concerning the porosity distribution estimation based on stereoscopic images, very simple way, and image analysis. These are paper produced presented in HMC 2019, and refers to the raw test concerning lime-based grouts. It was work done in the previous committees, technical committees by Aristotle University, by Polytechnical of Milan, and Royal Academy of Prague. And the results were very good, and also facilitate the work in practice. Three are the main properties tested in the case of grouts: fluidity, penetrability, and volume stability. We compare during round, we compare the American standards and European standards, and also the results found. And we found, for example, that high-speed mixing favors custom-made grouts, not commercial grouts, or that testing volume stability with lower quantity, it works well, so we can use lower quantity of grouts. Technical data leaflets are missing a lot of important pieces of information, and that is why they will be favored, because they must know what is important for technicians and practitioners. And successful grouting needs also skilled operators. These are some pictures from works done, some diagrams during this. We have a star book in front of us. We expect to finish 2025. We resume all the work done in the frame of our TC, and we present it in Padova, NCMC 2025, first presentation of this star book. The impact of work done in the frame, it's the outcomes concern young researchers, practitioners, surveyors, national and international organizations, institutes devoted to cultural heritage. Also, we have updated list of current standard methods of testing repair materials with comments, improvements, and new proposals. We have focused on guidelines for good application, which is very important for line-based mortars, take into account climatic conditions and constructing status, facilitate the marketing of repair materials by pointing out the significant characteristics, and contribute to improvement the longevity, durability of repair materials that is closely related to sustainability and economy. Thank you.